Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for ICONversations. The ICON program is designed to celebrate our company's top producers. These agents have not only exceeded capping status, but have also reached exceptional milestones, earning them various stock grants and the opportunity to earn back their paid company dollar. We have Daniel Harnsberger from Virginia, Tamara Doolin from Indiana, Patrick Cerna from Texas, Kelly Cummings from Alabama, and our amazing moderator is Marty Burnett from Tennessee. Marty, take it away.
Hello and welcome to ICONversations. This is Marty Burnett. I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. So welcome, y'all. We are going to go through and let everybody just introduce themselves really quickly, talk about a little bit about their business, and then we're going to jump right into our questions that we have here today. Like I said, I'm Marty Burnett. I am from Nashville, Tennessee. I have been in real estate for 21 plus years. I started out at RE/MAX and then I moved to Keller Williams, where we were owners there for about 10 years. And we have been with EXP ever since. You do the math because I'm not as good at that. So we are icons have been icons every year. We were mega agents when we were at KW. I work with a small team, and my husband does commercial, residential, small development. I mainly do residential and resale and then assist him on some of these other things. We have got an amazing panel today, guys, a really big variety of experts. So I am super excited to hear what everybody has to talk about today and learn from all of you. So let's start with Patrick. Patrick, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hey there. Are you able to hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Perfect. Okay. So my name is Patrick Cerna. I'm 53 years old. I started real estate exclusively, brand new at the age of 45 years old. And so I'm just a few years in. My first 2 years, man, I was a hobo, literally sleeping on air mattresses and couches in my friends' condos and apartments. And then I joined after 2 years of that, Marcus and Millichap commercial, and doing a little bit of residential a year after that. Then EXP helped me to expand. And so I can talk about two different things. One, they say one of the great basic ways to success is duplicate, imitate what the success stories have done. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. And then number one, I can discuss that if y'all want. And then number two, since I do a lot of land, do a lot of residential, but I do more land for development, residential development, commercial development, and also farm and ranch. One item I would like to discuss is identification of property. Now, if you're doing just primarily residential, frequently you don't have to worry about it. You just got a 911 address, put that on your contract and your listing agreement, you're fine. But there are times if you're doing a residential, maybe on half an acre, 1 acre, 5 acres, guess what? It might be 2 or 3 or 4 different parcels, and just putting the 911 address, you might unintentionally leave off half an acre, 10 acres, and then somebody's going to come after you and sue you, or the lender's going to get upset that they loaned money on land that was not in the transaction because it was not identified properly. So I just want to give you some basics on what to do to protect yourself and to protect your client. Residential with land, extra land, maybe one more parcel or more, and then also just land in general, whether it's farm, ranch, or land for development. So you always want to put an Exhibit A, okay, on your listing agreement, also on your contract. And your Exhibit A, more important than using an MLS page or your CoStar or land.com page. Okay, that's great, but not ideal. The ideal is go to the county appraisal district page or pages, because if there's a problem after the transaction, and I have seen this happen a lot, personally, people that I'm mentoring, friends of mine, it does happen quite a bit where the information is incorrect, not the realtor's fault, but the county or the seller did not identify the land properly, or part of the land was sold off 10 years ago to the brother-in-law and the county did not file it properly. So it's showing up as land being sold that really is not sellable, and now you got legal problems. So by doing it the way that I'm recommending to you, if there's a lawsuit or they're going after somebody or lenders going after the brokerage, they're going to go after the county appraisal district because you provided Exhibit A with your client signatures, timestamped, and then the other party's signatures timestamped. And so the way you do your Exhibit A, you get your property. You know, if it's land, usually, let's say it's 10 acres or 3 acres. Usually your mobile home, your slab foundation home, your pillar, pier, and beam home is going to be on 1 acre of those 3 acres or of those 5 acres. All right, so you're going to have one parcel ID, one legal description for that. Get that county appraisal district page. Boom. And then there might be 1 or 2 or 3 more other parcel IDs connected to that cohesive unit. So it's usually not a monolithic whole. It's usually 1, 2, 3, 4 contiguous parcels all together. So you want to identify each of those on the contract. Paragraph 2, identify all of the parcel IDs, not necessarily legal descriptions, because put on their Exhibit A, and then later in that page 10 or 11, check the box, other documents, add on there, put Exhibit A, and then you want to get your merge, use your PDF or Adobe, merge together all these county appraisal district pages, parcel ID, the first one, merge that one with the second parcel, merge that with the, and that way you've got the parcel ID number for the first one, parcel ID for the second, with legal description down the line. Now you've got it all merged into one document. At the top of page 1 of the document, you're going to put Exhibit A in big red letters, big blue letters. And then underneath Exhibit A, you're going to have your clients sign and timestamp that they identify. This is what is being sold or listed or what have you. And then make sure that the other party signs off. And I'm going to give you an example. I'll give you 2 examples. So one of my buddies, he sold a this is residential lot, not even land per se. Sold a residential lot, 1/4 of an acre. And 1 month later, his buyer client calls him, and this guy is EXP. I'm not going to say his name. And he did everything right. He followed this advice. She says, hey, you sold me the wrong lot. I paid a lot of money. I just paid $25,000 to pour a slab foundation on this lot that I just bought. You were my buyer agent from EXP. And some man came up to me and said, what are you doing pouring a slab foundation on my lot? I said, this is my lot. I just bought it. He said, no, this is my lot. That's your lot over there. Don't you see the 4 red stakes in the ground on the corners, the new survey? I said, no, my realtor knew that this was the lot. Well, anyway, so you sold me the wrong lot, so I'm going to sue you and I'm going to sue EXP. He says, no, ma'am, I gave you an Exhibit A, and it showed county appraisal district for such and such county. Top left corner, it says the parcel ID, shows the legal description. It has your signature. It has the timestamp, date and time that you signed it. And also in the contract, I put parcel ID in there. So it was properly identified, and the new survey. Well, the man said he would just swap me the lot and just consider it an even swap, but no, I'm going to sue you. Well, because he did the advice that I'm coaching y'all to do, and mind you, this was just a residential lot, okay? So it helps also in residential all the time. So because he did that, guess what? She was not able to get a penny out of him. She did not get a penny out of EXP. And then this gentleman, he was able to sue back for lawyer fees, legal fees on that particular ex-client. So that's an example how doing Exhibit A and having them sign is going to protect you, even for residential transactions. So I recommend that. Let me give you another example. I just sold, this happened like 1.5 years ago. I sold 27 acres with a house on it. So it could have been a residential or farm and ranch transaction. Could have gone both ways. So anyhow, sold the 27 acres. 1 month later, I get a phone call, and he says, hey, the guy that bought it says, hey, I got a guy says that he owns 5 of the acres that I just bought, that his brother, the seller who I bought it from, that they did a transaction like 19 years ago at the courthouse, $25 fee, but the county forgot to file it. He's been paying property taxes every year, but it's not showing up in the CAD. So that's why we didn't have it on the, okay, well, I was able to show the county appraisal district Exhibit A that nowhere on Exhibit A that I used to do that transaction, I showed how this land that was supposedly not sellable, how the county identified it as belonging to the seller. So the county unintentionally was doing false advertising showing that this land was owned by John Doe and that it was for sale. So now we had Loan Depot from California trying to sue somebody, and we had the buyer trying to come after us for selling land that was not sellable. You got the guy owning the 5 acres trying to sue and pull a shotgun out on the guy that just bought that land, saying that, no, that's not sellable. What are you doing on my land? So it took about 1.5 years of legal to undo the tangle. And then for Loan Depot to say, why did we loan money on land that was not bought in the first place? So it was an innocent error. The county, as usual, being neglectful and incompetent. But because of putting Exhibit A, showing how the county appraisal district was at fault, not the brokerage, not the realtor, boom, everything got cleaned up. Nobody got sued. So I know I said a lot super fast. If y'all got any questions on that, feel free to ask me.
Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate you coming in and sharing that with us. Let's see who's next. Tamara, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Sure. I've been licensed since 2006, but I was still practicing as I'm a registered pharmacist or doctor of pharmacy. So, but I never loved that. I got my license because my husband has been in the business since he was 21, and he asked me to get my license. So fast forward, we have been, basically we've been with EXP for about a year, just over a year. Really, it was a rough road for us to get here. My husband and I, we built Remax, so we were with Remax office. We have 10 offices in Indiana at our largest point, but decided that we would like to move to EXP. It was just a little bit of a bumpy road to get here, but now that we're here, we still have our team. We've got a mega team. We service 10 states currently. So, and I've got my husband here with me today too, who is also an icon. Yeah, happy to be here and share whatever we can. Absolutely.
Tamara, thank you so much. I think it is super interesting to hear that you moved from the Remax franchise to the EXP franchise. And I know you said it was a little rough, and anytime you make a transition, we all know that's not fun. I would love to hear a little bit from you. What advice would you give to others that are maybe working with a large team to move over, or working with someone that, do you have a little bit of advice that might make their shift a little bit smoother? I know you said it was a bumpy road. And again, transitions are always difficult, but if you have any advice on how to make that a little smoother, or something looking back, you said, I wish I would have done this or that, I would love to hear that. I feel like everybody else in the group might too.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of information, but then I'll probably let my husband Jimmy take over with that, since he was more so in the deep involvement with that. But we had more than one franchise with Remax, and it was a non-coterminous franchise agreement. So to move and transition and leave Remax it wasn't the easiest thing. And we may be a little bit more of an outlier in that situation. But I'll let him take over.
The bumps weren't coming on board. The bumps were exiting. So they sued me. Remax did, because I was the 14th largest Remax in the world. I was there 33 years and started there at age 21 and left there at the ripe age of 54. So the bumps were coming on board. The bumps were just getting out of the other relationship. So
I got you. Okay, I understand. Well, anyway, welcome. We're glad you're here, and it sounds like you were kind of a golden child. They hated to lose you, but we're happy to gain you guys over here, and look forward to learning a lot from you all. And as we get into some more of these questions, I still think we need to hear from Daniel. Is that right?
Hello, that's right.
Okay, if you'd like to just introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about you and your business, that would be great.
Oh, right. Thank you. Yeah. Daniel Harnsberger. I'm in the Richmond, Virginia market. I've been with EXP. This is my third full year, 3-time icon. I work as a solo agent and, try to sell as many homes as I can over here.
Wonderful. And did I get everybody? I know we had Kelly that was trying to work on some mic challenges. Kelly, did you ever make it in? Okay. Well, let's dig right into some of these questions that we had. We kind of compiled some really great questions. First off, I think it would be really helpful to hear a little bit about each one of your all's markets. I'm in Nashville. Our market was absolutely gangbusters crazy for years and years and years. We started to see a little bit of a slip last year. And when I say a slip, I mean more of like a balance. Since last year coming into this year, we have seen more of a shift into, I dare say, a buyer's market, but buyers are being able to negotiate again. Pricing strategies are key. So a lot of the questions revolved around transitioning markets being a little slower and transitioning. So if each one of you guys will jump on and tell us a little bit about what your market's doing, then we can dive into some of these questions of how we're overcoming some of these challenges. So let's start with, let's just go back the other direction. Daniel, tell us a little bit about your market.
Yeah, our market's super interesting to me because just like I think a lot of places since 2011, we'd had steady appreciation every year. Then COVID, we have the same explosion everyone else had. Right now, like if you look at our market, the market stats would just tell you like everything's moving along as it has been over the last couple years, but like how it feels is different. Because Richmond's a little big town or big little town, excuse me. And, we've had 15% increase in our inventory, which here is the equivalent of like 500 homes. So our market's appreciated. The days on market are relatively the same, but just like buyers have more choices, and overall it does feel a lot slower. And that's just not just me speaking, on my inventory. It's just like what I hear when I'm talking to other top agents in the area.
Yes, that's kind of what we're experiencing in Nashville. We're still selling properties and things but lots more choices. Buyers seem to be circling and having a harder time landing them. Tamara, what about your market there? What does that look like for you guys?
Our market is really, really steady. We don't have the ups and downs. I mean, our prices have gone up, yes, but our sales have gone up as well. So Indiana, we don't experience the ups and downs that other cities, especially the coastal cities, experience.
Well, that's fantastic. Good for you guys, because we're all over the place over here in Nashville.
By the way, we came to Nashville for the rally.
Oh, fun.
By the way, I don't know if you were there. But it was nice. We had several of our team members, and we brought some recruits with us as well. So we really enjoyed that.
Nashville is a fun city to visit for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. So, Patrick, tell us a little bit about your market. Are you guys up and down, pretty steady? What does that look like?
So I live in San Antonio, but my commercial and land transactions, I'm in about 19 counties, Central and South Texas. The residential, I'm mainly in Corpus Christi, San Antonio, New Braunfels. I'd say that it seems to be kind of across the board. It's more of a buyer's market, because of the interest rates. A lot of inventories is sitting. So buyers know that they have, they can beat up the sellers a little bit more. I would say more in favor of the buyers right now. So in the past, here's an interesting observation. It has always been the philosophy, go with the sellers, listings, and I think we all still subscribe to that. But I think the numbers are kind of turning around. If you get a qualified buyer with the pre-approval and they got money for down payment and closing costs, you might have a better chance to close a deal and get paid with the buyer than a seller nowadays. It just seems like things are just sitting.
It is interesting how that market shifts back and forth. And I've been doing it, like I said, 21 plus years, and it shifts around, and we have to adjust with it. Kelly, did you ever make it back on and get your mic going?
Can you hear me?
Yay, there you are. Introduce yourself and tell us about your market.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties. Yay, I'm here. So I'm Kelly Cummings from Mobile, Alabama. I have been licensed for 21 years. Had my own boutique brokerage for 19. Decided that needed some back of the house that, you're as a single agent boutique, you just don't have a lot of support. So I joined EXP and Icon 2 years in a row. I am heavy into the REO world. Got into the REO world in 2007. 2009, I sold 154 REOs. Last year, I sold 94. This year, I've already sold 71. I work for 12 different asset companies across the country: Fannie Mae, Shell Point, Mr. Cooper, et cetera, et cetera. And our market is on fire in Mobile, Alabama.
Well, congratulations. And Kelly, I'm super excited to dig into some of this REO stuff as well. It is something we have dabbled in, Matt and I. Matt's my husband and my business partner. We have dabbled in that over the years, and I've always wanted to kind of dive in and go deeper into that market. I think we'd be really good at it. So I'm going to be taking notes when we get into that, and just want to hear everything that you have to share. I think that's super exciting. Did everybody get to talk about their market? Did I miss anyone? Crickets. Okay, good. We got everybody. So since we got you on, Kelly, let's go ahead and dive into that. Was one of the questions that was actually on the list. And I think it's because the markets do shift. We haven't seen REO, especially in Nashville. I mean, we haven't seen hardly any REO and bank-owned properties in a really long time. But I feel like that is coming with the shifting of the market. So I would love to hear kind of how you got started in that and what your advice would be to someone else wanting to kind of start getting into that market.
All right. So back in 2007, I saw the writing on the wall, and I started joining different companies to do BPOs, broker priced opinions, mini appraisals, if you will. And in 2007, I did at $50 a piece. I did about $5,000 worth of BPOs. I did a ton of them. I was doing 10, 15 a day. And then all of a sudden, I started applying for these different REO companies and started working off the platforms, Equator, Pyramid, Accelerus, different platforms.
Well, that's unfortunate. Looks like we lost Kelly again. Does anyone else that's on the panel have REO experience? Or if not, we'll wait and take that topic.
I'm back.
Oh, he's back. Continue. Go ahead.
I don't know what happened. Somehow or another, I didn't touch anything. Just my mic went red. So sorry about that. So there's different platforms that you work off of: Equator, Pyramid, ResNet. And some of your big hedge funds use ResNet. A lot of the folks are now using Pyramid. I did talk with someone at Equator the other day, and they've picked up 9 new clients that will be using the Equator site to assign properties. You go to conferences and you meet these REO asset managers, and you get to, you start a network. So we have a team put together. We have 61 foreclosures right now that we're managing in one way, shape, or form in Mobile, in Baldwin County. It just depends on the animal and what you get. I haven't gotten anything this week. I got 5 last week. So it's no rhyme or reason. You just open your email and boom, you got a new property. And then you start the process. You pull tax records. You do a Google search. Google map search to find out where you're going and what it looks like. You see if it's ever been on the MLS and just do as much research as you can before you get in your car and drive to the property and pray that it's empty, because you certainly don't want to deal with people, because it's in a bad situation anyway. And once you get there, you do occupancy, you get bids for all of the preservation that needs to be done, lawn, trash out, lock change, winterization during that period of time of the year. And then you just work through the process. You do your BPO. The asset company will order 2 additional BPOs. That sometimes they do an appraisal. Sometimes we have to get fire reports or police reports if there's damage, for insurance claims for these companies, so they can claim it on their insurance and get their money out of it. And then we put them on the market and sell them. So it is an unbelievable whirlwind of a business. Of a niche, but I can just say, start out doing BPOs and start signing up for these companies, because the REOs are coming. I'm in an REO mastermind group, and I read an article 2 days ago that Fannie Mae just sold $580 million worth of non-performing loans to 2 of the big companies that I work for. So they're coming. Third quarter, fourth quarter is going to be ugly across the country. So you're going to see a serious uptick in the REO world here soon.
Okay, so your advice is to start out with the BPOs. Do you got any tricks of the trade that I know you said pick up as many as you can, but any advice or tricks or things that you would recommend on other than going through signing up for all the companies and taking on all the BPOs? Anything that people should, just little tricks of the trade, just getting started with those BPOs?
Yes. So when you get your first BPO and it asks, is the functionality, and you really want to paint a picture. You're the boots and the eyes on the ground for the asset manager. They're sitting in a cubicle or an office somewhere in Dallas or Washington, D.C. or California. They don't know what the house looks like. They don't know what the area. So you want to be very specific. Is it close to railroad tracks? Is there industry around? What's, how close to the nearest church and school? So you want to paint the best overall picture that you can. So when the asset manager opens your BPO and reads it, it's not a one-liner. You want to really paint that picture, and that will gain you serious ground, because now they know that you will do a good, serious BPO and give them the information that they need to move forward with the property, instead of, sitting there scratching their head going, it's in a good area. Well, what the heck does that mean? So I would just be very, very diligent and specific and very detail oriented on your BPO.
Okay, great. That's good advice. So don't go in and just check the boxes, really kind of overdo it with descriptions and things like that, and you're going to get somebody's attention in that manner. I also liked what you said. So once you start doing enough BPOs, maybe you get somebody's attention, but let's say maybe you don't. So at that point, is that when you started trying to reach out and go into networking and trying to go to some of the BPO events? Tell us what next steps are after you start doing and getting really good at these BPOs and you're turning those out. And how long should you expect to turn those out before you start seeing the fruits of your labor on that?
It took me about a year to start getting listings. After starting the BPOs, I started getting listings at the end of 2007, beginning of 2008. And it's not slowed down. I would get as many certifications that you can, anything that you can get in REO. Bubba Mills has an unbelievable online program. Don't remember what the cost is. You can also take some classes at 5 Star, which is the big REO conference coming up in a month in Dallas. But get certified. Take as many classes. There's plenty online certifications. Sign up with HUD, sign up with Fannie Mae, sign up, just apply. It took me, I applied with Fannie Mae 17 or 18 times before I got a phone call. And I've been with Fannie Mae now 15 years. So it's just diligence. You've got to stay on it. You've got to just keep applying.
Well, I think that's great. Great advice. Does anybody else on the panel have any questions for Kelly before we kind of shift off into another topic? Kelly, you're just that good, man. I mean, you covered it. That's
I don't know
awesome.
about that, but I appreciate it. I tell you though, it's a very rewarding business. You never know what you're going to get. You might get a $20,000 PO. You know what I'm saying? And then I've gotten $1 million foreclosures. You just never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates, what Forrest Gump says. So it's kind of cool.
Well, that's interesting that you'd say that, because there was a point in my career where I worked I did all my retail and residential and all that. And I had a BPO agent that I was kind of assisting because I was trying to kind of learn the business. And one of the listings that they got was in a really prominent area in Nashville. And funny enough, we were taking the sign calls. I don't know if he was out of town or what the deal was, but we ended up getting a call from an up and coming country music singer, which was really kind of cool. And they ended up making an offer on the house, and we ended up getting to meet them. And he's like huge now, but it was really cool. And then there were times we were just getting really run down, almost tear down type stuff. So it is all over the gamut, which I think is another reason that keeps this industry is just fun. You're always doing something different. It's never the same. And we're always learning. So I appreciate you sharing.
Let's also talk about the agent attraction side real quick, because 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from an agent across the bay on one of my new REOs, and he had been assigned a BPO. So we started talking a little bit. He is onboarding with EXP Monday.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I didn't even think about it from a recruitment standpoint. But yeah, people want to learn REO. Well, they want to be on your team, man. Yep. You want to learn from the best. So that's awesome. I didn't think about it. So you get good at that, and then you attract agents that want to duplicate what you're doing. So that's fantastic. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for sharing all that information. That's super helpful. We always want to make sure people get things out of these events and these calls, and that's just fantastic. So we're going to shift a little bit now, kind of back into Mark. It sounds like we've got a couple of slower markets, couple of markets that are steady and still booming. So one of the topics that came up, and it seems to come up pretty readily, and I have learned some of the best lead gen tactics from these types of groups and panels and calls and meetings. So let's talk a little bit about lead gen. My business personally is repeat and referral. I am wanting to diversify a little bit. That's why we keep kind of putting our toe in the REO piece of that. And I think I'm going to hold myself to the fire on that and really try to dig in there. But I am repeat and referral. So I do a lot of touches and nurturing of my database and my repeat and referral people. I also, about 3 years ago, came on and merged with an agent that was getting ready to retire, and we were going to shift her business over to our database, and then continue to pay her out for so many years. So that's something kind of cool that we've done over the last 3 years. I have enjoyed that. It has been very lucrative. I've learned a lot. That's something I want to continue to try to do. But Tamara, why don't you jump on? It sounds like you guys do a lot of business. Tell us kind of what your main sources of business are, and kind of what you do lead generation wise, and any tricks or tips you can share with us on that.
She just ran to the ladies' room.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Nope, here she comes back now.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Busted.
Okay, so you asked what kind of business. Sorry, our admin is out today, so I'm kind of answering the door and the phone and everything. But anyway, most of our business obviously is repeat and referral, kind of like you, Marty. But since my husband's been in the business for 34 years, and I've heard on this iConversation too that I've been in the business as well, by proxy at least. Even though I just decided to join him actively since we joined EXP, since I've been so close and with all the business over the years, those clients have become friends. So, we both Icon, and we're not out there looking for leads, if that will, that business is coming to us because of past relationships and cultivating those relationships. So most of our time is spent on agent attraction. However, since we have such a large team, we do attract new agents as well. And we spend a decent amount of time sharing how we have developed those relationships with our new agents so that they can build their business. So we're built-in mentors, right? We have a mega team, and we don't encourage our agents or our new agents to purchase leads or anything like that. We train them on how to find those relationships, cultivate them, and continue to nurture them so that they will turn into what we experience, right? Repeat business.
I think we've got a handful of new agents that are in the audience. Talk to us. What's the first thing that you tell your new agents to do? Like, how do you tell them to get started? What's that advice? Let's say the first three things you have them do.
Select close.
So, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted by what's going on in the office.
And that's in regard to lead generation, like the brand new agent trying to come in and get leads.
So we want them to own their business, not rent their business. I mean, that's our main thing. Our mission is to inspire people, create opportunities, and support dreams. With our new agents, we encourage them to pick we have a whole process, really. So we do the short-term goal, the mid-term goals, and the long-term goals. And if you are successful and consistent with your short-term goals, it will lead to your long-term goals, if you will. We encourage them to not only start communicating and cultivating and nurturing those relationships that they already have with their sphere, but also to actively get out in the community, let everyone know that they're a realtor. We encourage door knocking, farming, note writing, things that are very personal. We are a little bit of an exception where we have a collaborative community here, and we have a brick and mortar office that we kept. And it is kind of like a culture center. So everyone feeds off of everyone else. So typically we have them choose a neighborhood that they can start to get their name out there and connect with at least once a month. We have them choose a neighborhood of at least 500 homes that has about 20% turnover, and we want them to look in the MLS and make sure that not one agent is dominating those turnovers of the homes in that neighborhood. So that's how we have them pick a neighborhood, and then we encourage them to walk that neighborhood and just give one item, say like a market report. Print it out with your name, whatever on it, stick it in a little clear door hanger, which aren't very expensive. You can get like 1,000 of them from Amazon, and walk the neighborhood. And every person that they come encounter with, make a note about them, their conversation with them, and then write them a personal note and continue to follow up with that person. But once a month, they're walking a neighborhood that has at least 500 homes, like I said. And then we encourage them to give a quarterly item of value to those people that they have come into contact with. And the item of value doesn't have to be very expensive or anything, like a candle, maybe a candle from Walmart. We had an agent grab some 12. He had 12 people that he focused on, 12 little candles from Walmart. He made a little sticker about himself at the top. I'm with eXp Realty, happy holidays, and handed those out to the people that he wrote notes to and the people that he came in contact with kind of on a regular basis. is what we suggested, like his dry cleaner or the gal that works at the car wash place that he frequents. And the reactions that he got from that was pretty amazing. Well, fast forward, that was for Christmas. He now has a $3 million listing and a $700 purchase or $700,000 purchase just from that one candle at the dry cleaners. So anyway, we encourage those types of touches, if you will, and more personal, because you're more likely to, close a deal. I guess you should say, get an agreement, get someone to sign on the bottom line if you're face to face, right? That's what we encourage.
I think that's great. I mean, the advice of having them choose a specific neighborhood, research that really well, and then try to dig in. I mean, I think that's great. So any new agents out there, I mean, that's the big thing. You get licensed and it's like, what next? So I love the idea of the narrowing it down to one neighborhood and really digging in. And I love the personal touches. And I mean, I think that's great. Thank you so much. I think that's super helpful. And that's always the big thing I feel like for new agents is where do we start? So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Daniel, let's hear kind of what your lead generation strategy is and what you do to create business for yourself.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for the question. So I'm coached by the Mike Ferry organization, and so we're really big on prospecting and having a daily prospecting schedule that's easy to follow. So from at least 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. every day, I'm calling cold leads and doing lead follow-up. I think that's, if we're piggybacking off the topic of just addressing the new agents in the room, we're in the business of talking to people. And, I think social media has a place in real estate, certainly, but I think where we get mixed up as a whole is it's not that you cannot get business from social media, but I think it's better used as a tool to remind people you're in the business, stay in front of the general public, but not as a primary way to generate business. We're in the business of talking to people. So I make a minimum of 40 contacts every day to try and find new buyers and sellers. I think listings are, regardless of where the market's at, the listings are the name of the game. But I certainly do agree. I think it was Kelly who said earlier, hey, if you have a buyer ready to go, like as our market's starting to change, it's, embrace buyers as well. Help anyone who needs your help, but just make a day work in this business is a day of prospecting. I think the more you can outsource and the more you can spend time lead generating, the better your business is going to do.
Thank you. Yes, that's great. So you're big on the prospecting and you're hammering the phones out. So your strategy is, tell us a little bit about where you get your lists of who you're calling. Yeah.
So I call expireds every single day. Here, though, we don't have a huge amount of expireds. I think we have a solid crop of agents in our market. The top 100 agents in our market do 80% of the business. So we don't have a ton of expireds overall. So I'm also looking for sale by owners. Those are intentional sellers. The database, which I think it was Tamara talking about earlier, that staying in front of your database, offering them value quarterly is huge. You'll find that the top producers, typically at least 50% of their business is from their sphere, whether that be people they know locally in the market who also know them, repeat clients. Anyone you pay money to, you should be also asking them to contribute to your business. So database, and then I do, because of the lack of for sale by owners and expireds, I do a lot of what's called circle prospecting. So I'm calling around my my sales have recently sold, calling around the neighborhood, because we do find that when one home sells, usually two more will sell right away. And then I'll also do circle prospecting. I'll find places that I would like to take a listing. I'll call that neighborhood and see if there's a need for my services. Again, if I've called everyone else, then and I don't have a listing, then I'm going to just call more people. There's someone within 5 miles of you right now, a 5-mile radius, who needs your service, who's going to be selling their home. And it's just our job to find them.
That's great advice. I appreciate you sharing. And do you have a specific program that you use for your callings? It sounds like you were doing a ton of calling. Do you have a specific program that you use that you would recommend to anybody looking to get into this style of lead generation?
Yeah, so I'll use to pull my lists, I'll use Vulcan, which is also a single line dialer. I'll use Vulcan. That's where I get my expireds in the morning. I'll supplement that with Forewarn. I'm sure most agents probably have that app already. I find that Vulcan pulls their stuff from, whether you're using Mojo or RedX or whatever, they pretty much pull their data from the same source. I find that Forewarn is the most accurate. I always think it's good to have Forewarn open and supplement that. Or it's helpful to use if you have a couple and they have 5 cell phone numbers listed, chances are 1 or 2 of them belong to that couple. So you can use Forewarn to see what their most current number is. That way you're calling that and streamline your calls a little bit, not wasting time calling numbers that don't belong to those people. And then I use something called the Enzo dialer. It's like a 14-line dialer. So it rapid fires calls out to people. I find Enzo is best used to when you've gone through a list on maybe your single line dialer or hand dialing, input the rest of the people into Enzo, and you'll have a good chance of getting a hold of them when you weren't able to calling with another tool.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Patrick, are you still on with us? I'd love to hear what you do for lead generation.
Okay, well, mine's a little bit unorthodox. So, in the state of Texas, we got about 150,000 to 170,000 licensed real estate professionals. So, wow. I mean, from my angle, from the way I look at it, how are you going to make yourself look different than everybody else? You got to make yourself, in the wild kingdom, the birds fluff out their feathers, they pretty colors, whatever, in the real estate world, anything. You can be a lender, insurance, whatever. How are you going to make yourself look better than the competition? So I always tell my mentees and anybody that's new, before you can sell a house, before you can sell a property, a ranch, a shopping center, you got to sell yourself. Before All right, so how do you do that? Well, the first thing you got to do, you got to get on the radar. How do you get on the radar? Well, by being quiet and being timid, that ain't going to help you. All right, so you can have a brand new Tesla, you can have a brand new Corvette, you can have a brand new Ferrari, and you can put it for sale, half off, 20 miles on it, 50% off. But you put a for sale sign, you put it in the garage, you put the garage door down, you don't put it on the public, on the street corner. You got the perfect car for the perfect price, but nobody's going to buy it because it's not out there. Nobody's seeing it. You can be the best realtor, but if you're that Corvette parked in the garage and nobody sees it, nobody's going to pick you. Nobody's going to choose you. It's not going to fall in your lap. And the first thing, don't complain on social media how slow it is, how hard it is. Don't advertise your second job, your side hustle. Don't advertise you're doing Uber and DoorDash and selling purses and selling Tupperware. When you do that, you're advertising your plan C. You're not first string, you're second string realtor. Don't do that. So you got to advertise yourself as a top producer, you're a performer, and present yourself as fanatic realtor. Okay, so my first 2 years, I paid a lot of money to learn these algorithms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. And here's, in a nutshell, some stuff I learned. The number one time to post on social media, 6:15 a.m. to 6:50 a.m. Second best time, the lunch break, 12 to 1. Third best time, around 6 to 7:30 p.m. But if you want the most views and you want to be on people's radar, you're the realtor to pick for buying or selling, then you need to be posting real estate related stuff between 6:15 to 6:50 a.m. or 6:45 a.m. So also 3 posts a day, 2 posts pertaining to real estate, 1 post something to do with your hobby. You like planting, you like gardening, you like cooking, you like hunting, fishing, you like crochet, whatever you like. But you got to change it up. You don't want to be like too obsessed with your real estate. You got to look like you're a human who has a life, but you got to change up. So at least 50-50, half your stuff real estate, have more than 4 posts a day, people ignore your stuff. Less than 2 or 3 a day. So you want to do that 3 a day, that formula. That's a good way to get on the radar. Offer something different. So my first 2 years, I came into San Antonio. There's about 16,000 realtors in San Antonio. And I was 45 years old. My previous career, I was a top dog, but now new career. And I was like kindergarten, everybody else is a pro. How did I get on the radar? So I did something unique. I said, all right, anybody that closes a deal with me, I'll take you hunting or fishing with a professional guide. If you hunt or you close a deal with me, or if you give me a referral that goes to the closing table, I'll take you hunting or fishing with me professionally guided. And I'll cook a wild game dinner in your backyard after you close on the deal. So I did that my first 2 years, and then my business got too much volume. I couldn't do it anymore. But guess what? It worked. Okay, so what did I do? More than likely, y'all are not going to be fanatic hunter, fishermen, cooking wild game dinners in the backyard of the new owner. But I'm using that as an example. How are you going to make yourself different than all the other cookie cutter realtors out there? And especially residential. And 90% of licensed real estate pros are residential. So how are you going to make yourself different from the rest? Number 1. Number 2, advertise it. Social media every morning. Boom.
I love it. That's great advice. And so your lead gen, you really focus on doing things online and staying in front of people. That's great. Kelly, I think you're the only one we haven't heard from in regards to like lead gen. I know you're a big REO guy. Do you do any other type of real estate that you do lead generation for that you like to share with everyone?
Absolutely. Now that EXP has a co-broke program, my sponsors picked the top 10 producers in their group, and we have a seat at the table with Jay Kinder, and we are using the funnel pilot program where we are running Facebook ads for 40, 60, 80 cents a click. And just in the last day and a half, I've gotten 17 leads, and we are running nothing but new construction ads. And then I am giving those leads to my agents for a small referral fee because I'm paying for everything. And I don't have the time to follow up with 17 people in the last, 36 hours. So I just talked to one of my agents this morning. He's got 2 appointments scheduled out of the 17 that I sent him. So the funnel pilot program is what I'm doing for lead gen.
Fantastic. And when you say you're running ads for new construction, are you marketing the new construction that's already going on in your area, or do
Absolutely.
You have a builder? Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. In Nashville, we have a lot of new construction going on, and I think that's brilliant because now that the market has slowed just a little bit, there's some pretty awesome incentives that some of these builders are offering, and just you telling people about it is a great way to get them to call you to be their buyer rep. And you go in
Yep.
and you work them a deal representing them, and with that on-site agent, and we've got builders that are cutting deals. So I think that is a really great tool, and I'm sure your ads will shift as the market shifts here and there, but I think that's a good point, like just marketing someone else's listings, the new construction in the area. And for a lot of you like newer agents that are trying to lead gen, this is a great angle. If you don't have listings of your own and you don't feel comfortable, asking other agents if you can market their listings, get real familiar with the new construction in your area, and go in and talk with these agents and find out what the sales reps, what they're offering. A lot of the ones in our area, they're offering these really great rate buy downs. They're offering, $10,000, $20,000 in closing costs. And so you can market that, and buyers that want to buy but aren't happy with the interest rates that are out there, market some of these builders, especially some of these national builders are offering, 4.99, 5.99, and those are great things to market. So Kelly, I think that's a great advice there to shift these ads with the market.
Yep, it's working.
So did you say that is I know it's something new with EXP. If somebody wanted to go kind of learn about that, where would you guide them to go check that out?
jkinder.com.
Awesome. We're going to shift right into like more of the sales side. When once you've done your lead gen, you've attracted that seller, and you got listings. And I know in some of the shifting markets, they're sitting a little bit longer. What are you all doing to drive more traffic and more buyers to your listings? I know in our area, open houses have come back with a vengeance. I mean, and then we're not seeing as much traffic on those. So one thing I did with a new it was a client, I had sold them new construction. They're still building in the area. They want to move. There was about 10 houses, resales in the neighborhood that were for sale that were kind of sitting. And so I just picked up the phone and called every agent that had a relist. Hey, what are you seeing? What's happening? And it was across the board. The builder's killing us. He's offering all these incentives. My sellers can't compete, blah, blah, blah. So we got all 10 agents. I'm not getting traffic and my sellers are not happy. So we all came together and did like a community open house. And we did on like a Thursday night from 5 to 7. We got a little ice cream truck to sit out in the main area of the community, just to get some foot traffic through the houses. So that's something we've done recently. I want to hear kind of some of the things that you guys are doing to drive more traffic to your listings. So Kelly, you're on. Why don't you start?
Yep.
And then
So there's a program out there. I don't know if anybody's heard about it, but a lender out of state reached out to me about 3 months ago, and he said, I monitor and I look at everybody's volume, and you're killing it. So I'm picking you for the Mobile area, which I thought was fantastic. But it's called MoveTube, MoveTube. It comes on Roku TV or Fire Stick. So when you go to a listing appointment and you sling the flyer out, I can put your house, your listing, on MoveTube, and it will be national. Anybody anywhere in the country, if they're thinking about moving from California to Mobile, Alabama, they can go to MoveTube and check out every listing that's out there. So what he does is he takes my MLS listing after I hit enter and it's live. Within 24 hours, I get a AI generated video with my voice through AI with a full description. It's about a 1.5 minute video. Once it's done, you produce it. It takes about 30 seconds. They do all the work for you. And all you do is hit post on LinkedIn, post Facebook. I sold 2 houses that had absolutely no traction whatsoever last month off of MoveTube videos off of Facebook.
Okay, spell that again.
MoveTube. MoveTube.
MoveTube, like YouTube, but MoveTube.
That is correct. MoveTube TV. And they also have a YouTube channel that they post it for you on all the social media. But I go on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday all my big listings, even if they're REOs, and I do a lot of traditional sales as well. I've got 31 listings right now, and I think 12 of those are traditional. So on my traditionals, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like you said earlier, early in the morning, post, boom, done. It takes 5 minutes because the videos are already done for you. So people like videos, they'll watch them, and it's really, really starting to take off.
That's great. That's some great advice. The video is huge, and one thing that I've been doing a lot of since these listings, when they're flying off the shelf, you don't have to do time to do a whole lot. But now that they're sitting, I've been circulating and doing live videos from some of these listings from time to time at different times, different places. And we seem to get a lot of traction and clicks on that live. I don't know if they think you're going to do something stupid or mess up or whatever. And if it's me, it's highly likely that I might. So I guess they tune in to see, because we've had a lot of traction on the live stuff. Let's circle back. Patrick, what are you doing to drive more traffic into your listings?
Okay, well, so for farm, ranch, and commercial, I am spending quite a bit for my advertising on land.com, CoStar, LoopNet, Crexy, all that. So I'll ignore that unless anybody asks about that. But for residential, I do have agents in my organization they primarily residential. One thing that I really promote a lot, because I basically spent my retirement, my IRA, my first 2 years of real estate, spending like $7,000 a month on Realtor.com and Zillow, and after 2 years of doing that, I threw away about $120,000. But it was good, but it was bad. I learned it did put me on the map. At the end of the day, I only broke even when you looked at all the numbers. I didn't really come out ahead, but it did put me on the map, and it did teach me the importance of you better call your lead ASAP. In those days, if you're paying for a Zillow lead, and if you were not on the phone dialing in the first 3 seconds, by second 4, second 5, another realtor got that lead, even though you're paying for it. So it taught me that. So after wasting all that money, what I learned is spend $120 on Red X a month for expired leads, and just do the old-fashioned cold calling. It is monotonous, it is boring, but it works. And a lot of you can spend a lot of money on different lead gen, but if you use that Red X, and don't call the ones that expired last night, don't call the one that expired last week, call the one that expired a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. If you make 100 phone calls, 95 of them got relisted or sold, but you got about 2 to 5 of them that, hey, you know what? We needed to relist. All these realtors blowing us up every day for the first 3 weeks, and now nobody's. Now we need to relist. You're the first realtor to call us in 3 months. Yeah, when can we meet? Man. So now you're not dealing with an angry client. You're not dealing with an angry seller like the ones that you called that expired last night. You're dealing with they've had it listed for 6 months or 12 months. They want to sell it. They're motivated. They've seen the dangers of overpricing, and now you're the only one shopping to sell it for them. Boom, you got the listing. So there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. I think that's a economical one. It's not a lot of overhead. It does require time on the phone, but nothing's easy if you want to succeed. So that would be my main advice if you want to get more business in the residential.
Thank you. That's great. Wonderful. Tamara, how are you guys driving more traffic to your listings and getting more buyers coming?
Well, you mentioned open houses going crazy, and we do a lot of open houses, obviously, and we've got this group of newer agents that are hungry to host those open houses. So in addition to doing that, and having a mortgage broker with them typically, so that's part of the learning process too. We have them knock on all the doors. We are we're this face-to-face, right? We have them knock on all the doors of the neighborhood and invite the neighbors over for a pre-open house time. It's just open to the neighbors. So if they're open house is scheduled, 2 to 4. They invite the neighbors from 1 to 2 so that they can have a personalized viewing of the home, and then hopefully build relationships with that and create new opportunities for them.
I love that. Yeah, the open houses are back with a vengeance. We didn't see them for a long time, and now everyone is back to doing the open houses. I love the idea of inviting the neighbors to a pre-open house to see it ahead of time. That's a great idea, and that way they don't have to come in and pretend like they're buyers. Like, you've invited them as the neighbors, and then you start to build rapport, which goes right along with what you said, before. That's fantastic. I love the belly to belly business. That's how I do mine as well, and I feel like my turnover and my retention with my clients is good because I do have that personal relationship. So I love what you're saying about those personal relationships. Do you guys have a specific follow-up for your open houses? Because I know, I don't know about your area, but ours usually are people that are open housing maybe a year to 2 years out from really actually purchasing. So do you have a follow-up system, something you could recommend?
Always, always, always personal notes and phone calls, but always personal notes. We still want that follow-up, like we teach them for their farming the neighborhood and everything, all those follow-ups with personal notes, and continue with them. We provide notes for free. We just have them here in the office. They can just grab some whenever they're here. But that is that's what we recommend. Always staying connected.
Well, I love that personal touch. Sometimes we get caught up in the social media and a lot of those types of things, and I think that personal touch does differentiate you from others, and I think that's excellent. We're getting really close to time out. Buyers to your listings, and then we'll wrap up on that, guys. This has been a great panel.
The signal cut out. Did you call on me?
Yes, Daniel, I just wanted you to wrap us up, but
sure.
In doing so, just tell us how you're driving buyers to your more buyers to your listing.
Yeah, I'll give bullet points to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm real big on flooding the market. When the listing's new, that's obviously when you want to direct as much energy as possible, because you have more leverage. So we do a few things. I'll have my lender pull the top 10 buyer side agents in the area, because we find that most agents work a territory around where they live or where their office is, and a lot of times that's one and the same. We do reverse prospecting daily, where we'll send a formatted text message to anyone who's new in the audience. Any reverse prospecting is in your MLS. You should be able to pull up a list of the agents who have buyers whose criteria matches your property. So we'll reach out to those agents. We'll specifically target the agents who have buyers who favorited the listing, and then we'll work our way down the list from there. Then we'll also reach out to every single agent in that town. So we have a database of that. We'll reach out. We send, again, a similar formatted text message with not just information about the property and the MLS number, but we also send a link with that, and all the reverse prospecting. We'll send a link to the virtual tour so they can send it to their buyer. And if they've previewed the property online like that, and then they go see it, you have that much more qualified of a buyer. I also do neighborhood canvassing calls, because we find that people tend to move into areas where they know somebody. So those are some of the main things.
Fantastic. We're right on time here. 1 minute till midday. Well, it's midday here in Nashville, depending on where you are. You guys have been great. The stage is just filled with amazing professionals. Feel honored to be part of this group, and I appreciate everybody's participation. Go out and make it a great day, you guys.
Crush it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us for ICONversations. We're here every Friday. Thank you.